Welcome back, guitar learners. This is video lesson number 3, and in this lesson we're going to take a look at some of the D-shape inversions that you can use all up and down the neck. So just like in video 2 where we looked at A-shape inversions, today it's all about the D shape. So yep, your open chord D where you would normally play it, you can always play that to play a D. But if you slide that 2 frets higher, that's now an E. 1 fret above that is now an F, 2 frets above that is a G, 2 frets is A, 2 more frets is a B. And if you go 1 more fret, you're actually at a C. So now what we know is we need to avoid some strings, because on an open D, it's great to hit that open D string. That's your root note. And you would play all 4 of the strings. But when you start moving that around, you do not want that open D string to ring out. So you'll have to maybe practice or take some time to make sure that you only play those high 3 strings. If you are picking or arpeggiating, that's pretty easy to do. If you're strumming or you're playing with overdrive or distortion on and you're really kind of digging in, it'll take some practice to make sure that you only strike those high 3 strings. So what does that look like for a chord progression, right? We've been kind of hovering around G, C, E minor, and D. Well, that's where I would start to bring in the A shapes and the D shapes together. So here's my C and my D, right? Here's my E minor. Well, where's the G located, right? On the A shape, it's all the way up here. It's a little clunky to move that far if you're just playing in a song. So if you're using that D shape, kind of hovered on the 7th fret with your middle finger and your index finger, and then your ring finger, of course, is on the 8th fret, that's where your G is located in that D shape. So if you're playing a G and want to switch to the C, to the D, to the E minor, back to the G. So that's kind of a nice, space to live in and to work around in. And so that D shape fits in so well with those A shape chords. I will say that very rarely do I play the full D shape on that G chord. I do most of the time cheat. I cheat and I just use 2 fingers, and I would only play the B and the G strings. So I would leave the high E off altogether, or I would deaden it with my index finger, just kind of laying the fat of it on there. And so that's how it would sound with just 2 of the 3 notes in that inversion. Why do I like that kind of cheat way to play it? It's because I move around faster by doing so. So here's my G, to the C, back up to the D, to the E minor, to the G. So it's just a lot faster because of where I'm anchoring my fingers, specifically my index finger and my middle finger. You can also basically bar it as well. So that's how I oftentimes, if I'm arpeggiating, I'll still play that cheater version. But if I want to get that high E note in there, I just lay my index finger down tightly to hit that high E string on that G chord. So that's kind of a fun way to arpeggiate or to play, and that's what you'll see most of the time in my videos and in my tutorials, where I'm playing those A shapes and then putting my middle finger down to finish off the D shape as well. What are some other kind of flavors that I also apply? So if you're playing that A shape C, I'm gonna need that. If you're playing that A shape C chord on the 5th fret and you're wanting to maybe add some extra oomph to it, or maybe you're on your way into a chorus or into a big bridge and you're just wanting to give it a little extra, you can drop your pinky finger onto the 8th fret, so 3 frets higher than the root that you're on, and you can cover just the high E string, or you can cover the high E and the high B string, because that's also a C chord, or at least two of the notes in a C chord. So here's your C, and that's still a C. And so it just kind of sounds nice, or it adds just a little bit if you're trying to really ramp something up. And that's true for every position that you're on. If you're on the D chord at the 7th fret with that A shape, you would put your pinky down on the 10th fret, right? So it's just always 3 frets higher. So 7th fret to the 10th fret. Both of those are D chords. It's all based on those movable shapes and the notes of the inversions that you're playing. So yep, there's your C, there's your D, right, and E, just to provide some extra flavoring. The last thing that I want to show you in this video is actually more to do with the minor shapes. So in that G, C, D, E minor chord progression, right? E minor fit in really nicely right here. But what if you're playing D, A, B minor, and G, right? Where would that be? Well, here's my D chord, and G right there. A would be 2 frets up from that, so I do play the A all the way up here a lot of the time, but a B minor would be all the way down here, right? Based on the shape that I showed you in the last video. So are there more shapes? Absolutely. My next favorite shape is based on the minor, but it's a bar chord like an F sharp minor. So that's what it's based on. So if that's your F sharp minor, it's the high 3 strings, and it's the same fret for all 3 of them. So with that being an F sharp minor, let's move that around. G minor, A minor is right here on the 5th fret. So your C is the 3 strings next to it. To make an A minor, it's the high 3. So a B minor would be right here on the 7th fret. High 3, E, B, and G strings. So if I'm playing G, D, A, B minor, they're all right there together. It puts you in just the perfect position to not have to move around that much. And so you'll see that show up in most of my videos as well. So those are a lot of my tips and tricks. Experiment with those shapes, get some practice, get some reps in with the muscle memory being applied, but that's how I do it. Those are all of the tricks. I hope that you have good luck out there, and I guess I will not see you in the next one, but look for these shapes in all of my videos and in all my tutorials. So hopefully this is helpful to you. Good luck out there.